it. Okay. Looks like we are all set. So good morning, everybody. Welcome back. We are live and ready here. So let's go ahead and get started. So as always, happy return to Engineering the Market. My name is Jared. It is February 21st, 2023. And as you can tell, happy Mardi Gras to those celebrating in the South. So I figured we'd do something a little bit different this week. We are starting off with an early trading or a shortened trading week. So as far as when the market is starting to trade, we're going to be leveraging the S&P E-mini futures to get a sense of how Monday trade, along with what are some key levels to pay attention to this week. Certainly the market has been stalled as of the past couple weeks. We haven't been seeing the same trend nor upside volatility that we were familiar with near the beginning of the year. And a lot of the market breadth has either come back in along with the stronger sector performance starting to slowly unwind, a little bit of profit taking in some key names. But as far as what the market is focused on, I still believe that there is some upside left to this market. And ultimately, I'm looking for the market to hold certain levels in order to essentially confirm whether or not we're going to see continuation in the near future, or if this trading range has become sort of the norm for the next couple weeks. So first things first, let's look kind of at a higher level view of where the market's been trading. And what you'll notice is, for the most part, we have been consolidating. Arguably, the profit-taking region of this trading range has given back a notable area of performance. More specifically, when we did see the FOMC come out, there is a period of volatility that coincides with approximately 40-50 ES. So this actual low is about 48.5. That essentially marks the low end of the FOMC announcement, and then of course the press conference that followed. So those regions of price are of course where we've been trading over the past couple weeks, and more specifically we've been inside of what I tend to think of as the June trading range from 2022. It's more of a balance range that we've defined. As we start to shift into what the trade looked like yesterday, and remember, the futures market isn't necessarily closed on yesterday's trade. There is a portion of trade that takes place until about noon, or I think 1 o'clock Eastern time, so noon my time. And then, as far as when we reopen in the evening, that just sort of looks like a normal futures trading session. So there's a little bit of lower volume and lower volatility, but there was still some trade that took place. And you can kind of see there's a small Monday session of a couple of hours where we did see a little bit more just sort of downside continuation. The thing that I think is interesting here is we're pretty much at the lowest inflection point that the market has offered us so far, and that of course comes from the FOMC reactionary low. If you look at how the ES futures have been trading this pre-market sort of morning session so far, we've actually tagged this lower boundary. So as much as we want to be directional in some of our sort of thesis ideas, oftentimes we are looking for levels to trade to. And what I would argue here is that this is sort of the line in the sand, the last line that I would consider keeping a bullish bias in the short term, along with ending this particular consolidation. Not necessarily seeing strength off of this low, but as this low were to breach, it opens up the possibility of a much larger sell cycle. The idea that we'd not only be losing some characteristic trend definition, but we'd have to start looking for levels of interaction on a much steeper price target, something akin to the 200 or the 50 period MA on the daily, around that 4,000 print. So as we enter the market today, we're in a position of what I would consider to be best risk to reward when we think about the swing perspective or sort of a multi-day time frame. This tends to be the best risk to reward if a bullish posture were to set up here. It is also a risky area because we don't necessarily know what downside breaches at this level look like. And as we've seen historically, whenever things like characteristic supports breach, they often breach in widening volatility type patterns. So does this market have the potential to become more volatile than what we've been seeing? And by volatility, are we looking at more bearish characteristics? Over the past couple of days, I would say that there has been some signals that things are starting to become leaning more towards that downside play. Volatility has been picking up a bit in regards to short-term vol futures, along with the more characteristic look of whether or not our active contracts and our future contracts, just a month out in this point, are starting to see any degree of flattening. Now, at this point in time, there's still some distance between March and April, which ultimately just means that the structure of the vol futures market is still in a relatively normal curve, along with the fact that we're not seeing any sort of strict flattening out of that perspective. But usually it starts slow. And whenever things are in this position, especially, we've seen a little bit of additional, I would say, collapse of that distance. Let me see if I can pull up, looking for the product depth here. So over the past couple of sessions, if we're looking back to last Monday comparative to today or even something like Friday, actually today's a little bit of a better look here. What you'll start to notice is we're still looking at a normal curve. And all this means is that the March contracts are priced a bit lower than the future contract of April or the rolling contract. This distance keeps a normal structure to this marketplace, and it keeps, for the most part, some of the dynamics of the marketplace at bay. They don't necessarily have to do any sort of dynamic hedging of volatility, nor are we seeing any sort of yet covering in regards to downside volatility. But as this curve starts to flatten out, what we're looking for is a shift. And I don't know if I'd be able to show as far back as when this last occurred, but some historical moments when volatility was flipped or in a period of backwardation are periods like this. Let's see if it'll show. Yeah. So, disregard the price differences here, but focus more on the structure of this particular curve. What you'll notice here is that the forward-looking contract, the active contract, which at the time was October, was sitting at a higher relative price to the future contract or the rolling contract of November. And when this happens, we often see price activity become a little bit wider. Usually the spread throughout the intraday is much more significant, along with there being much more correlation in the market. And this has kind of kept me leaning more towards the bullish camp, simply because that correlation coefficient hasn't really kicked in yet. Doesn't mean it has to for the market to pull back, but as far as being an all-out bear, it would take a little bit more, proving in this regard to really see that shift take place. So these are some things that be on the lookout for, and I continue to sort of align my thesis towards the market simply doing a consolidative pullback at this point. However, as that time has gone on, there have been some risk factors. The dollar has certainly sort of recovered its uptrend. It's now, arguably in a confirmed daily uptrend. We have been making higher lows, higher highs. But as far as the bigger picture here, we're talking about weekly bounce or monthly pullback. And these concepts kind of keep us aligned to the fact that at this point, the market really hasn't seen any steep decline, even though the dollar has responded. It's been more affecting some of the short-term behavior inside of the metals and things that have a much stronger inverse correlation. Gold and silver have certainly been the benefactors, or maybe the worst hit in regards to the dollar bouncing. But as we can see, there are some short-term opportunities starting to set up here. Arguable that silver has kind of formed a relative low to trade off of at this point in time. Same thing with gold, should be coming in line to some of its previous supports. So these risk factors and the market trying to price in what is now taking place in regards to some rise in the 10-year rates, which, as you can tell, there's definitely an impact occurring here short term. We're starting to figure out that some of these levels are the most notable for characterizing our trade. And what I'd like to note is, where do these levels have the most impact? What was the market doing during that period? And are we about to see something uncharacteristic being advertised currently, at least from a price and technical perspective? At this point in time, the 10-year has been sort of on a recovery. The 10-year rates have been rising back to levels that we first saw at the beginning of the year. But we know the equity market is trading much higher than at the beginning of the year. Both the NASDAQ, the S&P, the IWM, anything that would be relatively sensitive to rising rates, we know that the location is much different. The price location versus the impact level that we're starting to see. And then the question remains, if we can see characteristic range or some sort of price response at a key level, then ultimately the market is in a position of strength, and that potential continuation can once again continue. So it's not to say that this is the moment to start looking for that long opportunity, but you might want to be on the lookout for whether or not the market has much of a decline in its future. I often, sort of note that the S&P really hasn't done much over the past couple of weeks, and yet the sentiment has been changing quite dramatically, just because we haven't been continuing our uptrend. I've seen a lot more bearish thesis just kind of coming out of the woodwork, and it's all based around the idea that this rally has ended. So they're very much anchored on the idea that this high is going to become a very important relative high in the future. My thought is that that's not quite true yet, or that hasn't quite been a set level as of yet. So technicals aside, we are looking at sort of the relative lows. You can kind of tell there's been a little bit of a short-term breach of Um, the lows from last Friday. If we look at how the market's trading this morning, we're slightly under last week's trade. So we want to be careful assuming, that we're going to respond back to the upside. But ultimately, this is where the best risk reward of the market sort of lies. And what we're going to be looking for is continuation responses, along with the idea that we could pull back a bit more and still kind of hold some healthy weekly consolidation. At this point, we'll be kind of considering that the weekly consolidation could take place this week on the sort of shortened trading week. As far as the SPX volatility, I don't have the levels marked as of yet. Remember, it is a 4-day trading week, so whatever the expected move happens to be for this week, it's probably going to be slightly lower than what we saw last week. It's also notable last week that we didn't touch the boundaries of the expected move. So last week was expecting approximately about a 105 point expected move, and I believe the SPX only traded somewhere between 70 or 80 from the close to the absolute lows. I think our lowest print was actually the low end. So, for the most part, we kind of stayed in the middle of last week's trade. And from the perspective of the Friday close, the SPX really didn't move around. As far as what happened last week, it was kind of mild. We stayed sort of elevated for most of the week, and then we saw that little bit of a crackdown on Friday, which did, of course, result in a little bit of a bullish hold. So markets are sort of on that edge. We're going to see if they can sort of recover because we're not really trading into the gap regions as of yet. But a lot of the volatility last week was suppressed. The expected move wanted, something quite larger than what we actually saw. And just kind of looking at the price activity, we might have only moved about half of what the expected move would have suggested. So very interesting deviation from what we've been seeing week over week, especially for this year. I think this is the first occurrence where we have not tagged the expected move. Just a note in the column, but oftentimes this expected move is helpful because one side tends to get tagged throughout the week. So it's kind of like saying, if you can't tolerate this much volatility, the market is more inclined to offer one side of this range throughout the week. That's mostly what's been true over the past couple of months. I think it kind of started here. There's actually not a touch on the first week. So we'll look at that tomorrow. We'll kind of talk through it a bit more, but all in all, it's a shorter trading week. And as far as what we might want to focus on this week, there's a few places that I'll kind of have my eye on. I'll start off with what occurred last week. I think this is going to be sort of where are we starting to look at shifts and where are these shifts occurring. The energy sector last week, I think, had one of the most notable sell swings across the market. If we're looking at just the sector that actually was down last week, and if I pull up something like the trading terminals sector performance, you'll note that energy not only was down, but was down almost 2 to 3 times more than some of our sectors that hold the market together. Technology, of course, being just a market cap leader. So across the indices, we might have seen a little bit of a pullback on that Friday session, but where the weakness was really focused was energy. And I found this really interesting because from a technical perspective, there were some names that were doing something quite odd. For one, there was a very specific event that occurred a couple weeks ago in regards to share buybacks. This company, of course, indicating that it was going to start some, characteristically what has been often a more bullish representation of buying back shares for shareholders. But the market responded in a very bearish way. We sort of tagged the swing high. There's arguably the high-end range occurring somewhere in this price region. And from that point, it's been downside ever since. You can even see sort of the flag-like pattern against support, which eventually did break down. And what I'm looking at here is this has room for more downside. Not only did we lose support on this breakdown, but as far as the flag is concerned, this thing still hasn't even expanded yet. We're talking maybe just anchoring from this high, swinging down to the low, and then taking our new swing high. If we start to see more downside in stocks like CVX, or even if Exxon sort of takes that, window to the downside, there's less of the structure here, but more of the trend line break that's starting to occur. If we start to see that perpetuate, this is going to be a linchpin for the market. This is where I could see being a bear. It's actually an area that I think will be focused on throughout the week, because not only was Friday a big signal for selling, but additionally, if we look at how these stocks traded, they actually traded quite well on the intraday. Not only did they sell, but they sold in sort of a stepwise pattern, which is nice and easy to manage throughout the intraday session. So I'll be looking for some opportunities like this throughout the energy sector, along with just noting that this started a little bit earlier in the week. We actually had some strong reactionary selling to Devon Energy, I think on Wednesday. I think it was. That was Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday was its earnings. And this, of course, was 11, 12, 13% drop in this name just on that session. The selling has, of course, continued, and you can see that this is sort of widespread selling. You want to have candles that have some depth and width to them so that you can sort of trade as an intraday trader and look for big targets. These types of names catch my interest, along with looking at the energy sector sort of as an area of opportunity if we see selling continue. There certainly is a couple of supports left. It's hard to basically break off from the highs, but there is a posture here of weakness, and there's definitely that gap down and selling that's got my attention. So I'll be on the lookout for energy names throughout the week, more as a short opportunity. And if we're talking about market weakness, energy is where we might see some of that focus. Additionally, just kind of noting what's occurring today, there's a couple of retail names that we also want to pay attention to. As I go back to trading terminal, shifting over to the calendar and just pulling up the earnings listing for today, there's two names in particular that are, of course, noted on our title. We have Wal-Mart, which is should be reporting as of now, along with Home Depot. Just as a reminder, these are not necessarily in the same. Are they in the same sector? I'm trying to remember now. No, they're in different sectors. These are not necessarily in the same sector. If you look at where Walmart's located, this is considered a consumer staple type name. Definitely one of the larger market caps, but falls in line with a Costco and is often compared with Target, albeit they are categorized slightly differently. If you're looking at consumer discretionary, this is where you're going to find Home Depot. And what's interesting here is it sits as high as the likes of Tesla and Amazon, even though, from a market cap perspective, it's about half, maybe a little bit higher than a stock like Tesla. Arguably, at one point, Tesla was hitting the same market cap levels as Home Depot, but we've seen, that sharp recovery this past couple months. So names like Home Depot might necessarily trade well with stocks like Lowe's, But as far as their sector weighting, you want to be looking at discretionaries for Home Depot and staples for Walmart. Um, Along with that, some of the Friday performance was kind of interesting. Little bit of a return to the safety trade and more of a defensive rally. If we just look at how Friday traded, we can actually see that all of the sort of strength in the marketplace was more in the defensive sectors, staples, utilities, and healthcare. Definitely one to maybe pay attention to for the actual market cap weighting. But as I mentioned before, the strongest selling really took place in energy, and a good chunk of it occurred on Friday. That was where the steep selling actually took place. You know, about 2/3 of the actual weekly decline occurring on that Friday. So, as far as people are asking, be a bull, be a bear. For the most part, I'm staying bullish. If you're asking me directly, I'm looking for bull play. The reason being is they've had more follow through, and even on days when the market is in a decline, there have been some short-term opportunities on some oversold bounces, along with names that maybe have a stronger support structure to utilize. If we're talking about some change of perspective here, I would certainly be looking for volatility to kick up in order to confirm any sort of downside play, along with where is the weakness actually taking place. And I think this kind of gets you away from being all bull, all bear, and starting to focus on where is weakness and where is strength. Because you can have multiple theses sort of playing out throughout different trades. As long as they're focused on the right sectors and the right names, I think overall you're starting to cycle in and out of the market throughout some of those periods. You know, am I bearish? I think I'm starting to become more bearish in energy. I want to see if this does have follow through. Am I bullish? I'm starting to look for pullbacks in the strong sectors. Maybe not quite yet, but I will be looking for them to set up once again. And then last but not least, I'm starting to look for recovery. If a sector is hitting a key inflection point, let's say healthcare off of the 200 period, I might be looking at that as a very clear line in the sand. If the market continues to climb from here, that of course is an opportunity so long as that price structure holds. So it's about sort of picking your battles to some degree. And I think this market is really good at drawing people in to the wrong areas at the wrong time, usually at the worst time. What we want to do instead is maybe kind of shift our bias, move away from things that have become maybe a bit overextended, and start looking at new opportunities forming in sectors that maybe weren't the focus for the past couple of weeks. Like I said, energy has become sort of an area to maybe consider, but I'll be hunting for more names along with more potential play. Even something as simple as when will natural gas bounce? The argument now is that it hasn't quite yet, but a lot of people are scouting for that play. That will become an opportunity. We're just waiting for the right time and the right setup to sort of engage in that play. So this is what I'm looking for, throughout this week. As a day trader, I think we'll want to keep an eye on how the SPY responds to that sort of low end support. The SPX as well, right around 40.50. We see a little bit more downside. I'd expect volatility to kind of pick back up. And then from there, we'll be looking at sort of weekly levels to get a sense of where we're headed, how deep is this retracement, and what can we do when we finally find a relative low to trade off of. So with all that said, my name is Jared. This is Indian Market. Have a great rest of your day. And once again, happy Mardi Gras to those celebrating. We'll see y'all next time.
Yes. Guys, good morning. Welcome to
Oh, whoa,
PreMarket
whoa.
Prep this morning.
Well, time to go to work. Sorry. Hold on. Hold on.
Oh, very
Happy
good, very
Mardi
good.
Gras.
Happy Mardi Gras, my friend. I see you are in full swing and love it, man. Love it.
And you definitely don't want to know what I had to do to earn these beads. So
I was gonna
let's,
ask you if you earned them or did you just
I,
get them?
I prefer not to talk about it except with my therapist. So
That sounds great, man. That sounds great.
morning,
Uh,
everyone.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Supermarket Prep. Hope you're having an amazing weekend. Hope you had an incredible long weekend as we are coming back into the market here. Guys, thumbs up for Jared engineering the markets every Monday through Thursday at 8 a.m. And also a thumbs up for Peter with his incredible outfit today for celebrating Mardi Gras. So let's get to it. Um, Let's look at a quick thing here, guys. Looking at our gappers list this morning, we have a couple of things in the green, a couple of stuff in the red here. I got some big names reporting, as you saw in the title, as you saw also Jared kind of break that down a little bit. So we'll get into those earnings and see what the results are like and what the outcome is going to be. Right now, Home Depot and a Walmart down quite big this morning. So outside of that, on the gap up list, a couple of names that I'm not familiar with. I don't recall any of these here. Maybe SGML sounds familiar, but for the most part, some of these I'm not aware of. We'll dive into what's causing some of that there. Um, Peter, let's go over to our market pulse and kind of see what's happening for this week. I know it's a lot of earning plays. Let me see, where is our screen here. But I wonder if there's any news as far as everything else that's been going on, as far as Fed speakers or anything in that
Well,
nature.
yeah, earnings season continues. We're shifting gears now and moving into more sort of a retail consumer goods companies that tend to be reporting. There's a couple of big ones. Jared mentioned them in engineering the markets. We'll talk about them as they hit the gappers list a little bit later. Overall, markets in North America and globally are down slightly. No particular news against that, except that in North America there is rising concern or belief anyways that the Fed may be more aggressive in their interest rate hikes. As we heard last week, I don't know if you remember, but there was a rumor, at least one of the Fed speakers was suggesting that he was pushing for a half a point rise, and the markets are now saying that there's something like a 40-50% chance that will occur. So interest rates increase tends to have that depressive effect on the market, which is exactly what the Fed is hoping to achieve. In international news, I'll just mention quickly because it'll affect a few of the things in our gappers list. Some mixed news out of China. There was some encouragement that the Chinese government was easing some of the internet and the restrictions they had against a lot of the companies that are traded in North America, right? The Baba, Billy, Baidu, FDD, PDD, a bunch like that. So that's good news. On the negative side, though, there's concern that there's a price war coming as they compete for market share. They're going to be competing on pricing, which will drive margins down for those corporate entities. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, it's just going to cause continued movement. So I think that's the big sort of the big news that I'm aware of, and we'll get into some specifics as we look at what's gapping.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Peter, for that. Okay, excellent. Yeah, let's see what's capping up this morning. I'm going to remove our stuff from last week. Control A, Control X gets rid of that. And then let's dive into what we have going on here on the gap up list. So right now, SGML, it is up this morning about 20%. Yeah, I believe we've seen this before and really does not look all that well. Big gap up this morning, very light volume. This is Sigma Lithium, and I remember this. Yeah, they got some battery stuff going on, but again, doesn't trade very well. We've seen it on our gappers list quite a bit. The volume is just extremely light, so I'm not a fan of this one, Peter, unless you have something worth us keeping it on this list here.
No, and you're right. They're actually a lithium manufacturer, and so basically in the mining sector, when you get into the mining sector, as you say, for whatever reason, they just generally don't trade that well. So no particular news or headline news I can see for today. But I would avoid them too.
Yep, yep. Let's head down over to APLS, the second one on our gap up list. Also another one that seems very light on volume. Gap it up 12.7, but I don't see anything that looks good on this one. And we've seen this one actually on our list plenty of times. For the most part, not a great intraday trading ticker. So even with this gap up, I won't have them on my list here. Let's head down over to ATNM, and this one is up 9.7 right now. And very interesting daily here. Extremely light volume, guys. I mean, for the last month, 2 months, we haven't seen anything above 1 million shares traded. So that's concerning. That just tells me you might not get a whole lot of volume on this thing. This morning, the range already is kind of wide. 18 is the high, and all the way down to 1468 is your low. So it has a nice range, but again, this volume that they're getting is kind of scary here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
too light.
a biotech, which means that it tends to be very choppy in its movement. Some days it'll be on, some days it'll be off. Last week they did announce some positive phase 3 trial data. I don't see anything new to that, but this is probably just a sort of a carryover from that announcement. You can see it. Actually, it's funny because it was on the 18th. When was the 18th? No, that would have been Saturday. So maybe that was over the weekend that was announced. What day is it today? Man, I'm
Today's
yeah.
Tuesday, yes.
So I guess this is the first trading day where that news would have hit, because I see the announcement having happened on the 18th, which would have been
Yeah.
Saturday. So, so maybe it'll be a play if you like it. But like you said, Carlos, for that type of announcement, when you get the phase 3 trial data, normally you'd expect like awesome pre-market activity. It's okay, but it's not great. So it leaves me a little
Right.
concerned about how well it'll move.
Yeah, same here. Let's take a look here, guys. At the next one, we're looking at Tech, TECK. Again, just nothing great so far in our gap up list. This is another one that seems very light on volume for the most part. Not a great pre-market activity, up 6%, and it just doesn't seem to be a great trader. I will rather skip on this unless there's anything good, but not looking all that exciting right now.
It's a Canadian miner. They did have some announcements. The biggest of which being that they're planning to spin off their coal business, so which is going to be about an $11.5 billion spinoff. But again, miner, which like we already covered, means it usually doesn't trade that well.
Yeah, exactly. Next one here is HSBC. So this is a well-known banking financial ticker here, but intraday trading could be tough with these guys. They're foreign. They tend to gap up and down quite a bit, and they don't get great volume on top of that. So not a big fan of this one, Peter. I'm not sure if you are, but what is it? Earnings today? What do we have
They
going
they
on?
did announce. I don't think they had formal earnings, but they did announce that I think they had earnings yesterday, in fact. But but they did announce that their profit has gone up significantly, and as a result, they're increasing their dividend. So especially if you're a portfolio type person, then you might want to be looking at HSBC. Like you mentioned, Carlos, probably not a good intraday trader if you're looking to take some short term trade action on it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So heading now to the last one here on the gap up list is TVTX, and it does not look any better. What a wild day this thing had on Friday, by the way. 23 down to 18, so really got slammed here. And then this morning we're up 3.8, but it does not look like a great trader. And even that action on Friday, this was it right here. It was like a 30-minute move, and then it went back to trading horrible. So you had this spike of, and this is the scary part when you have these stocks that don't get great volume. This thing traded 1.3 million shares, which we see that on a Tesla 5-minute candle on a regular basis, right? That's all it traded here. This one giant candle, big drop from 22 down to 18, and then no volume after that, right? So this stuff is not really in play, not something you want to be involved in. You can get caught in a real nasty mess here. And I'm sure the spread is probably horrible. As it is now, 15 cents already in the pre-market for $18 stock. It's not something you want to see as in play, right? So
now they did have news Friday. Apparently, it broke before the market closed because you can see that sort of spike up around 3:30 or so. But the news articles only came out after the market closed, where they had FDA approval on one of their treatments. So maybe it'll be in play today. But you're right, Carlos. It's oddly quiet. Like it's not looking that good this morning.
Yeah,
So
no. And you look at their history on their daily here, it doesn't look any more interesting than what we have now. So yeah, no, thank you. Let's move over to what's gapping down today. We got a couple on here, starting with, like you mentioned, a lot of the Chinese tickers leading the way today. We got JD, we have Baba, we have a few on there. So a lot of going on there. Starting with JD this morning, these guys are down 8%. I mean, just getting crushed this morning. And you can see here it's not looking good. So this could be an okay one for today. They do trade better after the bell. This morning with that gap down, I suspect they're going to be in play this morning.
yeah, like I mentioned, all of these are gapping pretty much the same way. You notice that big gap down, and they're sort of flatlining, so far in the pre-market action, all due to that mixed news out of China on the competitiveness, as well as the easing, I guess, of some of those restrictions.
Yeah. So again, gonna put this on here, guys. Looks good right now. I love the gap down. Again, pre-market action is okay, but this gap down is pretty interesting at the moment. PDD today, I'm not a huge fan of this one, but as you can see, also being affected. I'm sued by the same thing here, Peter. As we're
Yep.
getting this drop down by 6.5. I'm not a big fan of this one, but it is in play. I will add it as a possible for those that do like to watch PDD. I think if any day is tradable, it's going to definitely be today. Here's Man U. So this was active a couple of weeks back. If you guys remember, well, a month and a half now, as time flies. Right here in November, they had a huge gap up of news of a possible purchase. If you guys remember that, I don't know if the purchase actually went through or it was just a rumor. I can't recall the actual situation there. But since then, they gapped up here and they've just been kind of moving sideways, no action. And today, I don't know what they got going on, but they're hitting our scanners, and they're not looking any better than they normally would at the moment. So,
Yeah, as far as I know, this is the only publicly traded, sports team or at least the football club.
mhm,
And yeah, there was news of the American banks starting to get involved, and that was causing, rumors. I don't think anything ever really got confirmed about this specific takeover, but it's causing the stock to move occasionally. I tried to play this before on, when it had earnings or news, and I don't actually know if this is dual listed, but it trades like a dual listed stock, which means sometimes you can't predict the moves because it's being influenced by a different market, which is on a different cycle, right? Because don't forget
yeah,
the European
yeah,
markets will be closing earlier before the North American markets, and they're already halfway through their days. So,
yeah, yeah,
but anyways, but if you're interested, that's sort of what the news is. As people are talking more about Goldman and J.P. Morgan as they're getting involved in this franchise.
yeah. Again, just too many variables here that I don't like on this one. So yeah, we'll pass on that. Let's look at HD. So obviously, Home Depot had earnings this morning, and a lot of their outlook from Home Depot and Walmart not looking great for 2023 and 2024. Peter, what's the latest and greatest on these two? Well, on Home Depot first.
Well, this is earnings. Home Depot had earnings, which they had mixed earnings, missed their revenue, missed revenue, beat on earnings per share. However, the news of the day seems to be those that are reporting earnings are generally reporting lowered forward guidance. And that's what's causing HD to gap down. And I think we see down the list, I'll be saying the same thing with Walmart. So, the news, usually the stocks, the biggest influence is what their forward looking projections are. Here they're saying they're not seeing strong quarters, or at least a strong quarter ahead. And that's causing HD to gap down here this morning.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because if I read this correctly, on either Walmart or Home Depot, they had good quarter. Like the report as far as
Mhm.
numbers and sales was good. There's just concern with the economy, so they're kind of playing a little defense here. They don't want to overpromise and not deliver based on this economy being so uncertain. So interesting
Yeah,
there.
HD Home
Yeah,
Depot had an okay quarter. Walmart actually had, like you said, a pretty good quarter. Nothing
yeah,
wrong with what they did, but like their forward guidance was lower than the market was hoping for, which usually causes that gap. So it's
yeah,
always, it used to be very fascinating to me when I'd look and say, so it's not that they're saying they're going to do bad, they're just not going to do as much as the analysts who aren't even part of the company believe they should report,
Right.
and therefore the stock drops. But hey, that's the way the market works. So
Yeah,
get
yeah,
used to it.
very interesting, of course. Both of these are in play today, guys. And actually, looking at them closely, I have both of them on here. I will probably end up taking Home Depot down. It for me, it doesn't trail that well. It gets lesser volume, but Walmart today definitely looking very, very nice. Even in this pre-market, we're seeing a nice pre-market activity at the moment. So I like that one for today. Let's look at AI, which AI again has been making some serious noise. It seems like the start of 2023 is going to be an AI year. Everything AI related has been on a spotlight for the most part. This
Yeah,
morning,
it does feel
yeah,
like that's the that's the
that's the
hot
theme.
area,
Yeah,
right? Like we get into
yeah,
these certain areas that get hot at times, whether it's crypto or it was pot stocks or it was fake meat. Now it seems to be artificial intelligence. So yeah, we'll
yeah.
see how long this lasts, but it's been jumping. No particular news I can see on it today. It's just still memeing.
Yeah, yeah. So again, not a huge fan of this, guys. It is seems like it's coming down to reality a little bit here. So let's see, let's see. You're hitting a level of support. At some point, I think the hype will be done here, and you are going to get this to come down a little bit. But for the most part, it's just be careful with it. I'm gonna put it as a possible opportunity. I'm not a big fan of this one at the moment. Although, if you look at certain days here, they actually has traded very well. But just be careful on this. All right, we'll stop here, guys. We got a few. Actually, wait, I want to include two more down here. And Peter, if you have any others you want to include on here, we can do that too. We looked at Walmart, so that's good. Baba, I want to get Baba on deck this morning, see what's going on there. Right now, they're down 3.4. But with the overall news with China, you can see here how much they have dropped, right? And they had a great run here, which many Chinese tickers did not have this run. But coming back down here to reality a little bit, looks like I like Baba today. I'm going to put them on deck. And there was another one on here. Which one was it? Roku. Yes, let's look at Roku. I know they had earnings last week, but they're not looking also hot this morning. Yeah, they're not looking great, so I won't add them. Peter, anything you like off this list, or anything that you have on your list?
Yeah, two mentions that I want to make. One for Meta. So Meta, I thought it was interesting that they have announced that they are introducing a blue check service for a low subscription fee of only $14.99 or something. You can buy a blue check for your Facebook and Instagram accounts, which means it's certified. And I think it's utterly ridiculous. However, anyways, whatever, off they go. Jump on the blue check bandwagon. I don't know that it's going to do anything, but that was the news that I just shook my head at.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
good thing I'm
I
not
mean, it's
strongly opinionated there.
yeah, it's the right move, right? If Twitter can do it, why not Meta? And then why not YouTube and everybody else can start doing
Yeah.
this thing? It's
Yeah,
just insane.
yeah, it's dumb.
It's
I mean, 15
yeah,
bucks a month? Are you kidding me? Anyways, never mind.
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
the news there. Microsoft, on the other hand, they had news. Their executives are in Europe right now talking to some of the EU regulators about their acquisition. If you remember, a little while back, they announced that a year ago, in fact, they announced they were going to acquire Activision for an estimated price of around $69 billion.
Hmm.
There's concerns over privacy. They've gone to far lengths to try and quell those concerns, as far as signing a 10-year deal with Nintendo that the Call of Duty games are going to be available on that platform for the next decade, to try and say, see, look, we're not going to shut it down and make it only us. We're giving our competitors rights. It's a little bit of a strange move, but anyway, so I don't know if, again, will that have a big impact? Microsoft is such a large organization that even a $70 billion acquisition doesn't really sort of move it largely. So, but be aware of it if you're watching Microsoft. That's some news that may be happening.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
in random, it's something that occurred
Mhm.
to me. We don't normally do this, but only just something totally aside, by the way. Tech Tuesday tip, if you will. It
Yes.
is the Tuesday after a long weekend. And for anybody that's using the DAS platform, one of the things we get questions on every single Tuesday morning after a long weekend is, especially if you're using 2-minute charts or charts that haven't pulled in the right amount of data, if they're blank, sometimes you just have to manually pull in additional data. right? Because it's trying to assess data for a closed market day. All you have to do, go over to the far left hand side of the chart where you get the arrow that pops up, click on when that left arrow appears, and your data will populate. So just some of our DAS users out there, they get that, and we get this question, what's wrong with my charts? It was a long weekend. That's what happens. So yeah, exactly. Just go right there. There's the arrow. Carlos is showing you what it looks like. You just click on that. It pulls in more data. Your chart will populate, and you'll be all fine. So there's your tech tip for the day.
Yeah. Thank you, Peter. Appreciate that. All right, guys, let's take it to the chat room, both our members chat and also YouTube, and see what you guys like today. I see some good names being thrown here that we haven't looked at that we're definitely going to add. So we'll take a look at Tesla. Obviously a big one that has been just incredible to trade. Today, lighter volume than usual, only 2.8 million, right? Compared to the 5, 6, 8 million that we're getting in the morning. So only 2.8 million, which again, is still a lot, but slightly lower than what we've seen. Right now they're down 1.4, definitely in play, guys. This thing is has been stuck in this range the last couple of days, right? We had a great run, great bounce from 80, right? It's 80, no, it was 104, all the way down to 210, and then from there, the last few days, just again a little bit of some sideways action, and again, just kind of wait to see which way it's going to break out. But in the meantime, this is like a $10 range, so if you're able to get some moves within here, you're doing all right. So Tesla is good. Let's take a look at PLTR. What do we have on PLTR last week? PLTR was I know they had some movement. I don't recall if it was earning or not. And my little information tab here is not working. But either way, this morning 735,000. I don't like the pre-market activity though. If you look at it compared to like a Tesla or anything else with a significant volume, this doesn't look all that well. I see what you guys are looking at, right? You had the pop and the possible drop here back down towards 8, maybe 750, especially if we're going to be a little bit on the weaker side. So yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe a possible for now. Let's come back to this, okay? NVIDIA reports on Thursday, or is it Thursday? Or my days are messed up with this 4-day week, so I got to go to Trading Terminal and see when do we report here on NVIDIA. I believe it's Thursday. And remember, guys, completely free. You can come over to Trading Terminal and get tons of information. We're going to look here at when NVIDIA reports, and I have them. I know it's after hours. Oh, no, tomorrow, Wednesday. So tomorrow, NVIDIA reports. That's going to be fun after hours. Looking forward to that, especially if you look at what their daily is sitting at right now. This could be very, very interesting on what kind of reports we get tomorrow. So looking forward to that.
They've been running, right? So far.
They've had a great run. Yeah.
It should be interesting. I mean, remember, the rest of the sector generally has had positive earnings. I think Applied Materials was the last one to report last week, but that hasn't really translated into good movement in the sector. So, NVIDIA may be. I mean, they're one of the heavyweights, so their reporting will certainly carry weight in the sector.
Yeah, and just the sheer amount of volume that they trade, right? It's more people watching this thing, so we can get some good momentum plays out of this one. So for today, I think you're not seeing a whole lot right now. I think it's just overall market play at the moment. So if you have the space, you can add it to your list. I'll have it as a possible here. It is a great trading ticker, one of our usual suspects. But again, just moving with the overall market right now. If we have space, we can do levels for that and move that towards the top of the list here. What else, guys? What else is on your list that you like this morning? I see
TSM. Somebody's mentioning TSM on YouTube.
TSM. Let's see here.
Again, same sector here as we were just talking about with NVIDIA. Don't see much happening with it this morning, but
yeah, I prefer to watch something else usually. But TSM, they're giving us some plays in the past. When there's a heavy movement in this area, but for the most part right now, I'm not seeing anything great. Just overall market drop, guys, right? The market's down quite a bit, and you see a lot of things reacting to that. And that's where you see this gap down list. It's going to grow quite a bit as the stuff starts getting a little more volume above that 100,000 and starts showing up on here. You can see Carvana and some other ones making their way in here. I think someone mentioned Uber as well. Let's take a look at Uber here. No, I don't see anything good on it right now. Again, very wild couple of days in here, but for the most part, nothing happening at the moment.
Yeah, Uber. Well, it was really Lyft that had the bad news, right, and had that
Yep,
big drop about a little over a week ago, I think. And they haven't done much since. They just dropped and sat there.
yep, yep. Here we have a BP. The BP is, yeah, I don't like this one just because the amount of volume you get and how it trades. The price action, guys. If you haven't seen BP trade, it is very, very weird compared to what I'm used to, right? Usually when I want to trade this sector, energy or anything else like that, I look at Oxy. Oxy tends to trade a little bit better, but lately even Oxy, I have not really been paying too much attention to it. It hasn't been really hitting our scanners like that, like other opportunities. So they kind of been in the backseat for me personally. And don't, again, as you know, don't put too much weight on Oxy's pre-market activity because they can be really bad and still give you a great trading opportunity. So on BP, I don't see anything else there. PDD, I saw someone mention that in chat. That is on our secondary list here. I do have some other tickers like BABA, like JD on deck. But PDD is another one that you can also look at. Overall, Chinese tickers are down today, as Peter mentioned earlier. They're all being affected. All right, guys, I think we're all set. Let's take a look. Oh, let's take a look at AMD. Someone on YouTube, Maria, is giving us AMD this morning. Let's see here. AMD is
Not
down
much
two
going on with it.
percent. Yeah, it's just overall market stuff. So on a day that you're seeing, the market down 2%, and you see your favorite tickers, AMD, Nvidia, Apple, I will assume as well is down 2% with the market. Just pick the ones you like into the market opens and decides what we're going to do here. But again, down slightly, and there's talks about the market just coming back a little bit. We had a nice run here, so won't be surprised if we head down to 400 and see what's next from there. So we will see. Amazon as well, another one of our usual suspects, also doing pretty good. I do like Amazon's daily a little bit better. We're right at an area of support here, so that could be interesting if we lose that. Yeah, let me add that to the list here. So I like Amazon. One of our traders there mentioned that. Cool. All right,
Last
guys.
one
Yeah,
that
yeah.
somebody mentioned, just coin, is sort of interesting. Danny was mentioning it in the chat room. They have
Yeah.
earnings at the close today. There is like largely divergent speculation as to what their earnings are going to be.
Mm,
The view generally, I think, is that earnings are going to be brutal. But that being said, they just got an upgrade. So from one analyst. So I don't know, I don't know what to expect. I mean, I think we're just going to have to wait and see. But it may move today in anticipation of those earnings after the close.
gotcha. Yeah. So I can put this as a possible. I won't add it to my main list just because, again, coin could be a little funky at times, and I think after earnings is when we're really going to get to play. But looking very active this morning, I have to say. Let's see if it's going to bring up any opportunities for us to trade it. So far on this list, guys, we have JD, we have HD, which I might end up moving down. Walmart looking good. Baba, our Chinese ticker. Tesla always very active, and we have Amazon, which actually looks very decent this morning as well. So quite a bit that we can look at today. I see also Sunny giving us Mara on there, and Mara and probably Coin doing probably the same thing. Coin for me would be the better ticker to look at. I think they just trade a little bit better, and their price action a lot nicer for the most part. All right, guys, let's stop here. Let's go over to our community events and announcements. We're going to come back and fine tune this list in just a sec.
All right. Well, normally on Mondays we give you the full lineup, but being that it was a holiday yesterday, we'll give you a short rundown right now. Mondays, we did do this Monday, despite being a holiday, our onboarding session. Carlos hosted that 8 o'clock. It happens every Monday, so don't worry if you missed it this week. You can catch it next week. So that's really an introduction to the community, sort of a high-level overview of trading, and it's a way to get people oriented. So if you want a refresher or it's all new to you, feel free to go to that in our classroom. Tuesday. So today we always talk about strategy, and our strategy sessions are continuing this week with Thor, who's after taking a break for the Valentine's Day, which was last Tuesday. He's back, and he's going to be talking about his Camarilla pivot points. Now, I'll mention on Camarilla pivot points, by the way, in my tech tip, I told you to pull the data in because we did have a holiday yesterday, which means that data gap sometimes creates blank charts. If you're using Camarilla pivot points on your charts, you may wonder where the heck they went. That's just because there may be a lack of data in the chart if you're using the DAS platform. Do the exact same thing we talked about. Put the cursor on the left-hand side till you get the left arrow. Pull in more data until the pivots appear, and then you'll be fine. All right. So just keep in mind that you have to do that every time there is a market holiday. But Thor is going to be telling you how to use those pivot points tonight at our webinar in the webinar room, 8 o'clock. Hopefully you will be able to join us there. Next week, Randy Howell's going to be back, and he's got newly revamped material. I know that Mike has been working with him to sort of present a very different approach to what he's been doing in the past. So hopefully you'll join us for a new perspective from Randy Howell next week. And that date's got to be wrong. That should be the 28th, I would think. No, wait a second. That's psychology. I am like all screwed up here. Never mind. That is tomorrow. Tomorrow, psychology, Randy, new stuff. Oh my God. Carlos, we talked about this and then I forgot because we went and simplified, put it all on one chart, and I wasn't ready for it. There you go. Anyways, that being said, Thursdays are about mentorship. So if you want to sort of get advice, just refine some of the techniques or strategies that you're using. If I can spit it out, Thursday's the day for you. John is doing a dedicated session every Thursday in our webinar room at 11 o'clock. That's during market hours. And then Thor comes in at night at 8 o'clock to talk about sort of any topic that you want to throw at him. He's always great at taking that on and sort of explaining not only his perspective and how he trades, but how the market works. So those are our Thursdays. Hopefully you'll consider joining us here in the room because we have not only those webinars, which are part of the Bear Bulls chat room, but we have tons of free stuff you can take advantage of, whether you're a member or not. Check out Trading Terminal. I was talking to someone yesterday. I had a one-on-one session with one of our new members who reached out to me and just wanted to get some perspective, and I was happy to spend the time with them. And they weren't even familiar with Trading Terminal because they were saying, man, like I have to pay for, like trading is expensive to get into. I have to pay for scanners and I have to pay for a news feed. And I said, you know what? You can, and they wanted a simulator. And I said, have I got a solution for you? Right? There's a place you can get all of that stuff for free. So check out Trading Terminal. We've got a simulator in there that you can backtest theories. You can run strategies through. Here it is. Carlos is showing it to you right now. Pick any stock on any day, and you can run it against any other stock on that day. See how they move together. You can do it against a market index or just another stock. It's a great tool, completely free. You can take trades, enter positions, partial out, add any indicators you want to it. It is a fully functional simulator tool. More than that, we get all our news from that. When we're telling you what's happening in the markets, we're going to Trading Terminal and checking out the news feed to see what's happening. We're checking out the insider report to understand what's moving and those that are in the know, what they are doing, where the sentiment sits, as well as, of course, the calendar, which gives us the IPOs, the market overview, earnings, like everything's in there. So check it out. There's great stuff. This weekend, I took advantage of the long weekend to go into the academy and start to take Paris's course, which his course on trading has been well received. I really wanted to understand what it was about, so I started it myself. And honestly, there's been a couple of nuggets of gold in there for me that you get to a point. I know this stuff. You don't know everything. There's always something new to learn, and Paris is sharing his knowledge in that course. So it's a fantastic course, as well as the other ones we've got in there by Eamon and Thor and others. So check that out as well. All right. All that being said, if you're interested in joining us personally, we are excited to be hosting the Live Trading Summit in San Diego, March the 2nd and 3rd. Man, that is coming up so quickly. I can't believe it. I mean, I'll be leaving. Well, that's next week, isn't it? Yeah, it's the end of next week. Holy mackerel. So the end of next week, we're going to be in San Diego doing that. Hopefully we'll see you there. I think we have a couple of tickets left, but there is so much material in there that we had to make it a 2-day session. Kim Ann Curtin is coming, who's a certified Wall Street coach, coaches some of the biggest names in Wall Street on their trading. She's going to be here to talk with us. We're doing strategy sessions. We're doing psychology sessions. We've got like 2 full days of agenda items you can see listed here that Carlos is showing you. And it's great. It's going to be a great session. Plus, of course, lots of opportunity to socialize, ask your questions, get one-on-one support. Like we get members all the time that come up and say, I just wanted to be here to be with fellow traders, and others that say, I really have got this problem and I could really use your help. And we're happy to sit down and have that conversation. So don't forget, all of the moderators, pretty much all of our moderators are going to be there who could possibly travel there. So, you can get, whether it's my advice or Andrew's or Thor's, or we're going to have a lot of people there. So it should be a great session. Hopefully you will join us. If you're on the fence, don't wait any longer. I mean, it's only a week away, and we sincerely only have a couple of tickets left. All right. So if you wanted to join us in the room, we're always willing to, willing to welcome new members. Hopefully you will join us here. We have a discount code. PreMarket24 is your discounted code for listening right now for the intro. It's just a trial session for 1 week, right? You get access to both chat rooms, our options and our trading, our stock trading chat rooms. You can attend the onboarding session. It's well worth the money just to see if this is the community for you. If you want to then join us on a more regular basis, you can use the basic or elite monthly memberships, or if you want to get a discount and pay in advance, you can use the elite annual, which gives you a great discount off the monthly billing rate, as you can see there, for only $11.99 for the year. So hopefully you will use one of those, and we'll see you in the room soon. With that, let's get back to setting some levels.
All right, excellent, Peter. Thank you for that. All right, guys, let's jump in here and see what we have as far as levels and what we like this morning. So right now on my list, I have a JD, HD, Walmart, Baba, a Tesla, and Amazon. And I got some possibles here as far as Coin, Nvidia could be a good one today as well. Look at Coin dropping here, guys. So Coin, again, was in the green, 66.20, 66.40s are high. And now down at 63. So no, we're down quite a bit here. $2 from the close. Was even up $1 above the close. So looking very interesting as far as seeing some weakness there. So I might actually end up moving this one up. It is moving well this morning. Let's do that. Let's bring this one up here. And I was thinking of moving down Home Depot. I mean, although they are in play today, I think this is a very not difficult, but you have to learn. You have to know how to trade Home Depot. You have to learn how to trade this type of stock, right? So I'm going to remove that, bring it down. I think Walmart will be the one I'll keep on here as far as earning plays for today, which again, look at the drop we're getting here. And already we're kind of recovering a little bit, right, into the close. So that is looking very interesting there. All right, let's get to some levels, guys. So we'll look at JD first. We'll start here. JD at the moment, big drop. Not a fun pre-market activity here at the moment. Just kind of going sideways. And this is typically what these tickers like to do. Baba's doing the same thing. Got a little sideways action there. As far as levels, pre-market high, you're looking at 48. Oh, no, hold on. Look at the right thing. Here we go. I have 50, 40, 50, 43 for JD, and then the low of the pre-market 48.35. So we'll mark those two there. And then looking at the bigger picture on the daily. Oh, wait a second. Hold on a second. What's going on here? My high is not correct, right? This is not correct. Look at the daily. Is this because of the data stuff you're talking about? Could be. Looks a little funky to me.
Could be. I'm not sure. Let me check it out here. Am I seeing the same thing?
Looks a little funky to me. That's does this for once in a while. They have this data that doesn't make sense to me. My high, I show in the charts 50, 43. Here we're showing different. We're showing 48.83. Not sure why. I'm gonna go with 50.83 for now. All right, bigger picture at the moment. If you look at the daily, you got tons of highs and lows here between 55 and 52. I'm only gonna add this one here in case we do decide to push higher. I don't think we're gonna do that today, 51.11. But let's see if we can get back into that 53 area. Let's head down towards the bottom. If we look at JD again, JD's hasn't really been great, but I do like this gap down we're seeing today. 46.78 is the next best level I see towards the bottom on JD here. Let's look at Walmart. And Walmart this morning already looking very active. 1.1 million shares traded. Normally, we don't watch Walmart, but today they're looking very active. 139.26 is the low of the pre-market there, and then towards the top we do have our highs and lows. All the way up here from Thursday and Friday, right between 146 and around 144 or 79 as well. So I think that's all you need right now for Walmart. Again, this pre-market looking rather active at the moment. All right, we see we got some questions here over on YouTube. And Peter, if you want to take a look at those, and I think
Yep.
see one that someone's Chip is asking you a question there on Khan Academy. So we can answer that in a second here, guys. Let's look at Baba. So Baba here, we're down 3%. Not looking great right now, moving sideways. But again, this whole Chinese sector is down today. So hopefully we can find some tickers that we can take advantage of. So Baba is okay for right now. I like the drop we've been seeing on these guys for a while. One of the issues is we've been dropping with what seems not big moves, right? So it's kind of crawling down a little bit here. We're not getting the nice daily candles that we saw on the way up here. So that might not be creating a great pre-market activity for us. So we'll have to see how that goes there. 98.35 is looking good as high as the pre-market, and 96.50 towards the bottom is the low of the pre-market right now. As far as daily, 93.51, we do have a level there. And then below that on the daily, we also have 90.09 as well. So pretty good stuff there. Tesla, tons of volume, stuck between the highs and lows right now of the last two trading days. So we're going to mark down the high of the pre-market at 207, and then we also have the the low of the pre-market at 204.60. I think once you mark those two down, you're pretty much set, guys. I don't think you need to do anything else as far as Tesla. And you can see here the highs and lows for the last two trading days, creating that support and resistance around the price action. I mean, we're smack in the middle of this consolidation right now. Peter, I see some good questions. Do you want to answer those in the mic? So maybe others that are not looking at the text also have that question about the academy and everything else. I think it'll be good for them to know also what's going on.
Yeah, and I was answering some of those on YouTube. But yes, verbally, just to say, we have got hundreds of hours of material on Bearable Traders about trading and strategies and approach to the market and psychology. We got a ton of material in there. The Academy is purposely designed as a separate item for those that had custom-made material that normally would be given at a conference. So, we're moving away from in-person conferences, I would just say generally as a society, right, to these online conferences. And these are like conference-specific tailored courses that are outside of the Bearable's normal trading, and learning material. So they have a separate fee. It's specific, and those, sort of are set by the person who's developed the course. So yeah, the Academy are sort of an a la carte. You can buy whatever you want or none of it, but it's all available if you're interested in the specific course of study. If you want, general trading material, that all comes with your Bearable Traders membership when you go into our webinar room and our education center. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, Tesla, guys, very, very active pre-market activity. And look at the range right now. We've been testing 204, slamming against 207, back down to 204 again. And now the range might be getting a little bit tighter as we're not able to get above the VWAP here, or some of the moving averages we're seeing here around 207, coming back down to 204 on a tighter range. So that's interesting there. Definitely one in play. Levels are set for that bad boy today. So looking forward to that. Here's Amazon. Towards the top, a lot of resistance, highs and lows for the last two trading days. We are just barely holding on to the low from Friday here. So trying to hold on to that. Our pre-market high we got this week. Almost every ticker I notice now, as I'm paying attention here a little closely at the market open. I'm talking about the market open like at 4 a.m. They all have this pop-up, this like wick over to the high of the pre-market, right? 97. If I looked at a few of those, they all seem to have that wick. We'll mark that down as the high of the pre-market, but usually there might be better levels that we can set, right? So just be on the lookout here. Like for Baba, for example, right? You have this 98.35. This is probably going to be a better level to keep an eye on, because it has more touches right on here, right? 97.20. You have a lot more activity happening here than this just one wick that seems to be a print that we're seeing on many of the tickers from this morning. Could be because of, the day we had off yesterday. Who knows? Um, Heading down here back to Amazon, we do have a level at 93.40 and then all the way down here 91.46. And once you mark those down, you are pretty much set. Amazon with a very, very clean daily here. Do not need to add anything else. And then we are looking at Coin. Coin this morning also in the middle of their highs and lows of the last 2 trading days of last week. And then we're going to mark down some levels towards the bottom here. They're looking a rather weak right now, 59.39. And then obviously down here, another level around 55. See that gray area of resistance we saw there. A little bit of support after breaking out of that, so that's good. And now more support a couple of days ago, and now we're down here to 55.67. So let's see where that goes. Looking okay right now. I do like Coin better than Mara this morning, and I think today they might give us an opportunity. Some good possibles. We have HD, we have Nvidia, and we have AI, PDD, and PLTR down here as well, just in case our top list doesn't give us something that's not moving well. We can look to our secondary list here. All right, we are all set for right now. Let's take a look. If I look at Tesla, yeah. So I'm looking at Penny. Yeah, so Penny. So that might be just with Trader Zero because Interactive Brokers usually always has shorts for Tesla. And there's Peter has shorts for Tesla and Apple this morning. So I do see that. All right, we're leaving the show in style today as Peter has his gear ready to party. And yeah, guys, we are pretty much set. Happy
I'm gonna
Mardi
party
Gras,
my way
guys.
through the trading day. You know what?
Yep.
I mean, it's Mardi Gras. We might as well have some fun. Have a drink on me. Enjoy. Trade safe though as you're out there,
Yes.
and you know what? Always take the opportunity to have fun. Trading's serious, but
Absolutely.
doesn't mean you can't enjoy yourself.
Absolutely. One more thing before we send you guys off to Brian, who's up next, which I won't be surprised if Brian has his gear ready to go. I mean, with some tequila. Let's look at what he has going on this morning as far as his watch list. On his list already, Tesla, AI, Meta, PDD, and NVIDIA. So he will be looking at that. And then the rest of the moderators today, we have Thor looking at Walmart, Baba, Tesla, Mesh 3 and MQ QH3 there. Susan will be looking at Tesla, Amazon, and the SPY. Megan, Tesla, and Shopify. And then Jared, AMD, AI, CVX. Secondary list for him will be Walmart and Meta at the moment. So, all right, guys, excellent. That is what we have we have set. Brian, you can hop on anytime, and we will transition over to Brian in a second.
Just for being here, I offer you guys some beads here. So thanks a lot for joining. I just
put on
want
the
you all to be
camera.
part of the party.
Yes,
So there you go.
yes.
That's for you guys.
Absolutely. I see Brian is on, guys. If you haven't done so already over on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. We appreciate it very, very much. We are sitting, what are we seeing today? 157. We'd love to get a 200 if we can, guys, before we end the show. So help us with that. And we will see you again tomorrow at 8 a.m. Engineering the Markets, and then follow by the pre-market prep after that. Over to Brian.
Trade safe,
morning, Brian.
everyone.
I know it's happy hour somewhere, probably back east, but it's still only 6:20 here. So still waking up. Good morning, everybody. So let's see what we got going on. We've got Walmart. We have Home Depot reporting this morning. Obviously, I think the guidance was a little soft with both. A little cloudy, as they say. So that's kind of where we're trading down here this morning. I kind of felt like we have a bias to the downside in the overall market, with those strong numbers that came out on last week. CPI, then PPI numbers came out higher than expected. So looks like we're testing the low of the pre-market here right now on the Qs and the SPY. So let's see here, what else I got going on. As I mentioned in weekend video, I said it was raising cash. Just because I'm kind of feeling like we're maybe going to break to the downside here. So there's nothing. I don't know what Jared was saying this morning, what his feelings were on this, but we'll probably get a pretty, if we do go down, it's going to be volatile. We're going to get lots of, counter rallies, just because there's, the buy the dip. I'm not saying buy the dip is dead, and who knows, we may end up green on the day here. So anything is possible. Yeah, right, Chris. It's just going to be, I don't like, I was looking at Walmart. I don't know how cleanly it trades. That's my only concern with Walmart. It's obviously, it's obviously what it's doing right now. It's gapping down, obviously, but it's trading above the VWAP, which to me makes it, what I call a lead or a Phoenix trade, I should say. So pull back to the VWAP. The strategy would be there to pull back to the VWAP, buy it at the VWAP, and there is some level here, 142-ish. So 142.30 roughly is VWAP. 142 is kind of some bottoming action here, and so that's where you'd you'd stop out if it continued lower. Yeah, BABA. I don't like BABA. I don't like the way it trades. I looked at it too, but it's a rising devil trade right now. At least it's gapping down, trading below the VWAP. Did we have some Chinese stocks are reporting this week? I know that. Which did we have some? We got Baidu tomorrow. We got BABA on Thursday. Yeah, maybe JD would be better. JD's certainly, yeah. The only thing I don't like about I looked at JD. JD's really flatlining. It's not doing anything. It hasn't done anything since 8:30. It's just really just chopping in a narrow range. That's why I liked PDD a little better. Trading down, trading underneath the VWAP. So rising devil possible on PDD. AI is really choppy. I don't know what news came out on that, but it's gapping up now. Let's see here. Tesla's looking weak, honestly. It's just, it's testing the low of the pre-market here, and the Qs just broke. We're down below, we're down at what Thor likes to call the tinfoil line, which is this 8 o'clock really strange candle on the Qs. It's where they settle trades from previous trading session. Okay, so AI just released an Amazon partnership. Okay. Meta just dropped a lot. Meta could be a lead balloon trade. There's still lots of stuff going on here. What have we got? We got 3 minutes left. Meta's really dropping here. Ooh, PDD just took a big drop. AI is popping. Yeah, Qs are continuing to drop here. I do have some some SQQ left over from Friday. Yeah. All right, 1 minute to the open. PDD is still looking really weak. Don't like the spread on it. Meta's looking weak. SPY and Q still dropping. Very little price action on AI. All right. Well, I don't know what I'm going to trade here. AI is dropping a bit. Tesla, Nvidia. I really don't like the way AI is trading. I'm watching Dash is dropping hard too here. Ooh, Q's just took a big drop lower. Yeah, there isn't much I like here. I don't, we're really getting extended on this drop. Okay, here we go. PDD dropping. Oh, I'm short PDD. Jesus. The humanity. Okay, I got PDD through 85. See if it's going to pop back up here. Might pop back. Meta's dropping. Nvidia's popping. AI's. Okay, well, what PDD is really crazy. Like just small size. Up Qs and Qs. Buy the dip. Buy the dip. Tesla's dropping.